Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. March Madness. Well, it's began. There's a lot of fun basketball on right now that we get to keep an eye on. But we also have roughly a billion things going on in the NBA right now to dive into. Not all of them positive either. Keith, I've got my multi-screen on right now to try to watch as much basketball as I can at the same time while hosting a podcast. It's not easy, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably fail spectacularly at this, but that's fine. That's we're pioneers. We're trying something new here. Yeah, for sure. It's as much as I have fallen out of college basketball, I don't watch as much. Like I kind of hop
It's a
in and
time
out.
thing.
Yeah, that's it. It's a time thing. I'm just so focused on the NBA. I pop in and when if it's a Saturday afternoon, there's no NBA on, and I can catch a top prospect, I'll watch. All that said, these are still two of the best days of the year for the sports calendar. Like just so much fun. As we're recording this Thursday afternoon, Furman has already pulled a massive upset over Virginia, which is kind of funny. Like, is it? Because Virginia has lost 3 of the last 4 tournament appearances in the first round to a double-digit seed, including the first ever 16 over a 1. But still, seed-wise, massive upset. So a lot of fun. I was caught that game with some friends, and we're all in a sports bar, and everybody went absolutely bonkers and bananas, and that's just a lot of fun, right? Like being in that environment. So yeah, the tourney is wonderful. It's absolutely a blast. And if you are watching this, we're going to assume you're a big NBA fan. If you are interested, you can go over to my Twitter timeline at Keith Smith NBA, and you can find a link to my NBA fans viewing guide for the NCAA tournament. And what I did is over the years, as I add draft prospects into my player database, I pulled them all out, put them in there with who they're playing, what time they're playing, what channel you can find them on, all that good stuff. So if you're really only interested in watching this thing to see like, who's that? He's playing right now, but that Brandon Miller kid, what does he look like? Or, what about that forward on Duke or whatever it is? You can pull that and find all the games there. I think it's a pretty easy, simple to read. There's no analysis, none of that stuff. No rankings of my own, nothing that. It's just players and where you can find them on TV during the tournament.
And we should mention, as we're watching all of this and talking college hoops and all that, Keith, tomorrow is Friday, which means Front Office Friday. We've got our live show tomorrow. Should we just say same time? We'll go 1:00 Eastern time tomorrow.
Perfect.
There we go.
For me.
There we go. We'll talk.
We'll jump in and probably keep an eye on some turning games while we talk and all that stuff. Maybe talk if we've seen enough guys who caught our eyes maybe and things like that. So yeah, I have a lot of fun. The first couple Front Office Fridays have been an absolute blast. So I'm super excited to do it again.
So come join us. We will be live tomorrow, 1:00 Eastern time, right here on the NBA Front Office YouTube channel. Come join us. You can ask us questions, comments, whatever, and we'll chat for a little bit while we keep an eye on college basketball. Keith, we need to kick things off though with a story that, like, the tweets are coming in right now, and I don't know if it's better or worse the way these are coming in. Lonzo Ball was announced just moments ago that he's going to undergo another knee surgery, and it will cost him next season. So he will be out the entirety of next season with another knee surgery. And then Woj adds in, there are concerns about Ball's ability to resume his career and hopes that this surgery, which could cost him another full season, will give him the pathway to play again. He was weighing the procedure as of last week. I don't know exactly what this knee surgery is that he's considering, but it's going to cost him all of next season with the hope that it allows him ultimately to get back out on the floor. I mean, this is what we've been talking about, Keith. This has been the fear. Not just does he get back for the Bulls this season, does he get back next season, does he get back at all? That now seems to be in question. This is not where you want to see a young player's career go.
Yeah, it sucks. There's no other way to put it other than this sucks. He, just to remind everybody, last season with the Bulls was having his best all-around year that he had in the NBA. Through 35 games, he was shooting 42% from 3 on 7.4 threes per game. So really good volume, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. His assists were down a touch, but that's because, remember, he was playing with Zach LaVine, with DeMar DeRozan, guys who had the ball quite a bit in their hands. 1.8 steals per game, almost a block per game. It was easily the best I'd ever seen him play. That Bulls team was really, really good last season through those 35 games that he played. And then he goes down, doesn't get back for the end of last season. Now find out he's had a second surgery, missed the whole season. Now this third surgery, and it really worries me that we're already, the reporting is there's concerns he may not be able to go back, and this is kind of sounds like almost like a last hope thing to revive his career. This just sucks. It's awful all around. I mean, we'll get into a couple of the other concerns there, but just keeping it on its face and about basketball, this is one of the guys who's not, he's not a star, but like one of the really good, fun, younger players
Yep.
in the league. I mean, I think we kind of forget he's still only, just looked, he's only 25. He'll be 26 at the start of next season. So by the time we see him play, he'll be 27 with 2.5 years missed of his career. It's kind of, I mean, that's kind of Jonathan Isaac like, and
Yeah.
and all that. And then your question is going to be, you're probably going to wonder for years, can he stay on the court, right? Is he going to be able to stay and get back and all these things? And it's funny, I had someone just the other day say, well, Klay Thompson, right? He came back and he looked good and did all his stuff. And my thing with Klay, though, was Klay had different injuries, right? Like he had the torn ACL, then he had the torn Achilles. So for him, like he was coming back from different stuff. This is one thing where they're talking about, like, in Lonzo Ball himself has said, like, he can't even like walk upstairs. He can't do anything without pain. Like, and that's also, let's hope the surgery just fixes that for the rest of his life, because that's also, just terrible. So just, I don't know, that this whole thing sucks all around. I don't know any other way to put it. Like, it can't be any more eloquent than that, because that's just all it is.
I think you hit upon everything that is far more important than what I'm going to go to here. And so I'm glad that you said all that first. But in terms of the Bulls, 20.5 million on the books next season, 21.4 million in a player option after that. What are the Bulls' options from here with this? They know he's out all of next season essentially, unless he heals quickly. Which, look, historically, Lonzo does not heal quickly. He's not even just on random injuries that back when he was a rookie, like little things would keep him out a bit longer than you would expect. So he's not necessarily a fast healer. So assuming he misses all of next season, what recourse do the Bulls have? Or is this just essentially going to be dead money on the books for next year, and then they just keep their fingers crossed because there's no way he's not picking up that player option for the following year?
Yeah, 100%. He'll pick that up, as soon as the time is right to do that. And, and he should, right? That's money he earned, not right now, but he earned it, earlier in his career. And that's why you get player options as a players, to give you the agency and the decision-making power on that. I would say in the immediate, the Bulls will next season probably, petition for a disabled player exception. It'll be, half his salary, because it'll be slightly less than the non-taxpayer mid-level. So about, let's call it 10.2 million or so. That's a signing tool that they'll have to be able to
get somebody with that.
Get somebody. Yeah, for sure. Because they should be, depending on what they do with Nikola Vucevic in his next contract, and Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White, they've got a couple other free agents. They should be able to below the tax, probably. I think we'll see, kind of how it all comes together for them. But I think in that position of, you kind of then almost have two mid levels that you could go and use. Problem with disabled player exception is you can only sign a player to a 1-year contract on that. But if you have it right at the very beginning of the year, when you're still like kind of free agency is going on, you're in a better position than getting it, months into the season when free agency is kind of picked over. So you'll have that. The other question would be, if he can't make it back, then but this is really, we're talking a 24, 25 type thing. That final year, you can petition to say, yeah, he can't play. Let's get this wiped off our books. But we won't know that for probably at least a year from whenever he has this surgery of, what does it look like? So just, all around, they're in rough shape. I mean, that is, that's like you said, that's 20 plus million sitting in the books the next 2 years. That's just kind of dead money. Like, it just, it's almost no different than having a player that's waived, with one positive benefit for the Bulls. They could at least trade him. If they wanted to do a trade, you could trade him, throw a pick in there, eat a questionable contract from another team instead, or whatever it may be. that could be something to consider down the line. We'll see where that all goes. But right now, we're probably looking at least a year of ride it out, get the disabled player exception, kind of go that direction. But yeah, just absolutely brutal news for
Yeah.
Chicago, and more importantly for Lonzo Ball.
Yeah. Yeah. This is terrible stuff. It's the way it's felt like this has been trending over the last few weeks, but
Yeah.
obviously not what we wanted to hear now here in March, that next season is now going to be out for Lonzo as well. That's brutal.
And that's different, right? Because we had heard, I want to say in the last reports was
Yes.
hopeful to get back around the start of next season. And it's like,
Right.
now we're hearing like might miss a whole, like, that's just, I don't know, whatever they found is going on in there. It must not be good.
No.
That's the brutal part.
Not at all. Not at all. Let's jump over to a story we've been keeping a close eye on, and that's the John Morant situation. He has been suspended by the NBA. Kind of. I mean, yes, he's been suspended, but the games where he's been away, and he's been going through counseling, and everybody knows the situation, so I won't bother rehashing exactly what happened or anything. But those games are counting towards essentially his suspension. So he is eligible to return as of Monday, I believe. But the Grizzlies are saying they're going to give him some time to ramp back up because he hasn't been playing basketball this whole time. So it's doubtful that he actually plays on Monday, but he would be allowed to play in a game on Monday. Is that the way you were expecting this to go, for them to count the games that he's already been away as counting towards his suspension?
I thought they might have counted some of them. I didn't know that they were going to count them all. I do kind of wonder if they were thinking, all right, we're going to tack 2 games on to whatever amount of time you've already missed. The big change in this is he loses, I believe it's almost $900,000 from this, because prior to this, he was not suspended. So he was still getting paid in full, getting each, game check, if you will. That's not really how it works. It's not like somebody hands them a check at the end of each game and they run off and deposit it in their bank or whatever, take a picture on their phone. Now I'm not that old. I do that as well. It's but that's how you kind of refer to it, as you lose a game check. So that's the difference now. It's a already served 6 games of an 8-game suspension is kind of how this is being looked at. And I don't think that's unfair, for anything. I think it's probably the right way for the league to handle it. He's already stepped away. I think had he not stepped away, you might have still seen an 8-game suspension. And I think they're giving him a little bit of credit here for, hey, you stepped away on your own and kind of did the right thing. And I thought his interview with Jalen Rose was good. He's obviously was coached up. He's had some training on how to handle things and handle some questions. Sure. And, it's not like Jalen Rose was like, getting in there deep into his past or anything, but I thought it was a good first step for him to show. And I thought he did show, like, yeah, man, I screwed up. I'm going to own that. Like, I made mistakes here and that needs solved. So we're in a spot where hopefully this all gets moving in the right direction here over the next couple of weeks. For the basketball side, for the Grizzlies, yeah, he serves the next 2 games. Then he gets back, ramps up probably for, my guess is 4 or 5 days, and then get back in action. You'll have a week and a half then to close out the season with him on the court, and off you go with that. So I think that's the direction we're headed in.
Well, and ultimately, the NBA was unable to prove that the gun was his or that he had taken it on a team plane or anything. And that's why we didn't see this. We were hearing all that 50-game suspension and stuff like that. Well, they weren't able to find any of that. So that's why it came out the way that it did. So hopefully, this is, like we said when this all first started. Hopefully, this is the low point for Ja. This is the wake up call, and it's all up from here.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt.
Speaking of suspensions, Draymond Green has been suspended. Not for anything like what John did, though. Draymond Green suspended for the accumulation of technical fouls, so he will miss the Warriors' next game. I haven't looked. Who do the Warriors play next?
The Hawks.
The Hawks. Okay.
So, an equally disappointing team, I guess.
Yeah.
Middle of the road record, disappointing team, however you want to look at it. But yeah. And this is one of those things, I think, if you're the Warriors, where you just kind of, all right, that's going to be how it goes. He's probably
knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think like Draymond sometimes gets away with stuff because he's Draymond. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, I'm not going to say like, oh, he's got a bunch that were undeserved or something. He probably could have gotten more, but at this point, he's a veteran. He's known for, the way that he is and all that. And so he probably gets away with a little bit more than some other guys do. So whatever, he'll serve this suspension and then move on from there.
And it's funny because I saw this discussion on Twitter. Almost, I forget who it was. I wish I could remember. Said it's very similar to what you just said. Is like, yeah, Draymond probably that was his 16th technical foul. He probably should have like 40 this year, but the refs give him leeway, and they were going back and forth. And in my head, I was thinking about it where it was like, it's right. We all have those people in our lives, friends, family, whoever it is. You're just like, yeah, it's just kind of how they are, and we
Yep.
just
Mm-hmm.
all deal. It's no different with this. The refs are like, yeah, he's going to yell a lot. And, when he goes over the line, you tee him up and you hopefully shuts him up and we move along. Or, if it doesn't, we'll throw him out of the game, and he does get ejected a couple times per season too. And then you just kind of go about it. But he does. He gets a lot more leeway because that's just Draymond. Like, that's kind of
Draymond being Draymond.
And, and that's, it's all part of it. It's people are human too. People are human. That's what a stupid sentence that was.
There it is. There's evidence that Keith is keeping an eye on college basketball while we're recording this
Every
podcast.
time I turn my head this way, I'm looking at the TV. So yes, that might be a little distracted.
I was at least smart enough to put my TV right on the other side of my camera. So
I should move my I should reposition here, but I like this because I'm also looking out the window, like behind my camera. So it's that occasionally, if you ever see me looking off this direction, it's because of something has caught my eye outside. I'm
probably
basically. No, we don't. Yeah, that would be a problem because we're not next to water immediately. That would be interesting if we saw one rolling down the street. We did have on the other side or the back yard of our house a few years ago. There was one kind of rolling around in the grass back there. But yeah, so all right. Well, there's your Florida wildlife update.
All right, let's jump over to LeBron James. His foot is indeed improving. The Lakers are still expecting him to miss the bulk of the regular season. Nothing really new there. That's what we've been saying for weeks now. But good to hear that his foot is indeed improving. He's no longer wearing the walking boot. And thank goodness he is no longer riding around on that scooter. If they had to give driver's licenses for riding on a scooter, I don't think LeBron would pass the test. He was always a little. He looked a little shaky on that thing. So
yeah, he was taking corners a little faster than I was comfortable with. Like he come flying down the side, and I was like, "Dude, slow down." Again, I'm old. I guess I just I worry about the young lads out there with their scooter machines.
That's right. And young LeBron at 38 years old, flying around,
younger than me.
But good that he is indeed improving, and hopefully, I think the best case they get him back with like a handful of games left in the season. But
yeah,
we'll see. He gets reevaluated in like a week, and that's gonna be important. What comes out of that?
Yeah, it kind of got my eye on maybe. So they've got a weird, I know you're aware of this, but what a weird schedule to close the season. They've done a 5-game homestand, then a 5-game road trip, and then 2 home games again to close. So just a weird, kind of stretch. I would be looking at maybe that those 2 home games at the end, Suns Jazz, more just can get out there, run up and down, and play in an actual game for a little bit. And then obviously maybe if they really mean something to the Lakers, and there's chances are they will, whether it's to get into the to the playoffs or to the play-in tournament or just positioning in that. And it's important to remember too, I've heard some people be like, we just got to get into the play-in tournament. Well, yes, but you would much rather be 7 or 8 because then you're either going to host the first game and then you get a second crack at it. If you lose, you get that second chance to still win and hosting the game. So obviously they'd rather push. And that's not even one of those things where, tell me if I'm completely off base here, but for a little while, it's kind of like 7 or 8 might not even be in question now. And that's definitely right there for them if they can keep playing well. Okay. Let's just own this. What in the world? The 2 teams you and I associated with.
Oh yeah.
Like, what are we doing against the Houston Rockets? Both just throwing away games. Like
just complete no-show.
Like, yeah.
And the Lakers, like the Celtics, are at least in a position where they can.
Yeah.
The Lakers can't.
I don't know. I mean, they're trying to now hold off Philly. So
for the 3?
For the 2-3 spot.
Yeah. I mean, to not go down to the 3. Yeah. Okay. I see that. Yeah. And I mean, I look at how do you not sign another another center. If you know Anthony Davis isn't playing back to backs and Mo
Yeah.
Bamba gets hurt, how do you not run out and sign somebody and go, oh my gosh, Wendy Gabriel is 6'9", 205, and this is our starting center, our
Yep.
only center on the roster now. My goodness.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying like the Lakers have to go get Nerlens Noel. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna
maybe
do
I
that.
guess. I don't. Yeah, I don't know if that's the guy I'm going for, but yeah, it is. It
Well,
is.
the clutch thing.
Weird, but yeah. Good point. Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
probably definitely not happening. I kind
Yeah,
of forgot
that's the
about that
issue.
aspect of it. Also, yeah, that's probably out the window.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny. I don't know if you saw. I would try to go find it, but I know he's a Pistons fan. He tweeted at both of us yesterday and was like, "What in the world are your stupid teams doing? Stop." Yeah, or no, he was a Rockets fan rather.
Oh,
Said,
yeah.
stop. What are your stupid teams doing? Stop letting us beat you in games. And then a Pistons fan replied to it and said, no, I appreciate it. Continue to, win games over those
Because
teams.
of the tank race. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Oh,
they're kind of dueling for that number one spot. So yeah,
I I gotta tell you, watching that game, it looked like a YMCA pickup game for the
yeah.
first half. It was gross. It was just throw the ball to somebody, one-on-one ISO, go back, do it again the other way. Oh,
Rockets are a tough watch,
I don't
man.
want to see that
They
again.
yeah, Celtics playing the Rockets too. It was so discouraging for me because it's like they don't run anything really. Like
No.
it's one action into an ISO and that's it. And that's if they even get into that first action. But on the plus side, Jabari Smith Jr. really figuring stuff out, starting to play pretty
Mhm.
well here down the stretch. So as the billionth reminder, don't give up on rookies 25, 30, 40, 50, even 82 games into their first season. Some of them take a little while longer, especially the ones that are coming in at 19 and 20 years old. And he's really starting to figure it out and play pretty well. I'm not going to say he's going to be the best player in the class, but I'm not going to close the door on it either. I think he's still got that chance.
Keith, that is not the way this works.
I
You're
know, right?
supposed to,
Yeah.
like 2 games into the player's career, definitively say that this player is a bust or this player is a star, and then you just stick with that forever. And that's the way hot take culture is. And you have to take victory laps every time they look good and just deflect, deflect, deflect every time they look bad. That's the way it works. You're
Pretty
supposed to
much,
do these
yeah.
days.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I will also say too, because both are covering teams led by rookie head coaches. And I know nobody on either fan base that we, cover here want to hear it, but the same rules should stand for rookie head
Yes.
coaches too. They figure it out as they go. But let's move on to the next topic because I
That's
don't
the
want to get yelled at.
Right. Let's do that. Andre Iguodala has fractured his wrist. He's going to miss a solid chunk of time here with that. But he was really just kind of getting back into the swing of things.
Mhm.
Maybe he's a veteran you can turn to in the playoff time. But I I don't know how much he really helps the Warriors right now.
I'm glad you said it first and you said it much nicer than I was going to be because I was
Okay.
going to be like, you don't want to be a jerk, but does this even really matter? Like, I don't know. I mean,
He's been
I,
great, right? I mean, over his career.
yes, over his career, yes, and he did come up big at moments in the finals
Yeah.
last year. He had a couple big, he hit a couple 3-pointers where it was like those are those ones where you just throw your hands up and you're like, all right, we're not winning because Andre Iguodala is knocking down shots, so it's over.
Right.
But I think where he's been at this season, I think the Warriors are fine. Right. And if anything, this probably forces them into all right, what is our plan now moving forward?
Mhm.
Let's plan like he's not going to be here. We get anything out of him moving forward. It's a bonus. I guess one slight thing is it's in his left wrist, so maybe that's a little easier to work with
Yeah.
as far as coming back because he's a right-handed shooter. But I don't know. We'll see where all this comes. And this, this bad part is if this is it, this is a crappy way for it to end. A
Yes.
very long career. You never want to
Good point.
see. I always want to see everybody go out on their own terms versus they're sidelined going out that way.
Right. Right. Jumping over to you mentioned Nerlens Noel earlier. The Nets have signed Moses Brown to now replace Nerlens Noel, who's somebody they'd signed. They give him a 10-day contract. The Nets are going to give Moses Brown a look. I was intrigued by Moses Brown, just the size, the
Yeah, it's
wingspan.
huge. Yep.
But he's just never really stuck anywhere. I don't know if that's going to change here with the Brooklyn Nets. I know a lot of Lakers fans were throwing their hands up. Why didn't we sign that guy?
Sure.
But the Nets do sign Moses Brown and they'll give him a bit of a look again, another 10-day contract. And I think they're just searching for somebody who can kind of be a backup big for them and see if there's somebody that they like and want to hang on to for a bit here.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they needed something, and this kind of to go back to our Nerlens Noel taking the clutch sports relationship portion out of it. I mean, he just hasn't shown much. Like
Hmm.
it's starting to be where that's one of those ones where it's like I think there's still some people clinging to that. He was a top, what was he, a sixth pick
Top
or
five, I
something like
think.
that?
Oh, maybe it
Yeah, it
was
was some,
six. He
yeah,
was
it was either
hurt.
five or six, but yeah, it was like I think that shine's completely gone. I guess for some people they're like, I polish it a little and it might still be there, but I think it's gone. I don't see it with him. And yeah, Moses Brown, I mean, he put up some big games when he was with OKC in an extremely, kind of low pressure environment because that's before they had started to kind of turn the corner and be a little more frisky. But I don't know. I mean, Celtics fans, I including myself, were like when they got him in that trade, when they got Al Horford, he was kind of a toss, and it was like, all right, this is cool. Like maybe
Yeah.
this guy can, be something. He might, look like something. We did a lot of deep dive articles and stuff for a dude who never played a game in Boston because then he got flipped in a trade for Josh Richardson. But it just, yeah, it's I don't know. Like you said, he's never quite been able to stick and put it together, but an absolutely massive human being. So maybe this is it. Maybe sometimes bigs take years to figure it all out. So we'll see.
He has been on one, two, three, four, five NBA teams at this point, and he's only 23, and he
Hmm.
started at 20. He's bounced
Yeah,
around.
that's a
That's not even
lot.
including Boston in the mix because he got flipped.
Yeah. Is that
That's a lot of
including the
teams.
Knicks? Because he didn't even play for them either.
No, I'm just looking at the
Yeah.
teams he
The
recorded
teams he's
stats for.
actually played for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got,
Wow.
geez, I'm a little surprised it's that many. It's Portland,
Portland, OKC.
OKC.
Oh, actually, you know what? I'm not going to tell you. Let me see if you can do it.
Yeah. It's Portland, OKC. Uh, did he play for Dallas?
Yep. He even started a
Um,
game.
wow. Uh, hmm. Yeah, I can't get the other two.
Cleveland and the Clippers.
That's right. COVID
That's
call-ups for him.
that's pretty good
COVID
though. That's
call-up with
that's pretty
Cleveland,
good.
and then yeah.
Keith, you would dominate who he play for.
I would get 100%. I can tell you that
Yeah.
right now. There's not a player in the league you can't ask me, and I would definitely know who they play for. Like that would, yeah, I would be upset if I ever missed one. Who he played for his entire career, that gets a little trickier. Like, don't ask
Sure.
me Ish Smith. I'd probably, I mean, I'd have to just name half the teams in the league, and I'd knock down Ish Smith's, teams. But
You
yeah,
would get it just by default. Like,
yeah, right, yeah.
you'd have basically a
Everyone,
50-50 shot each time because he played for
everyone
somebody.
except for Boston because he's a Celtics killer, and somehow that's the one team who's never won and got him.
There's always that one guy that
Yep.
just it goes off on your team.
Every
It always
time,
feels
man.
like that.
Every
Yeah.
time he plays the Celtics, he puts up big numbers.
Psychologically, there must be something behind that. I wish we
I don't
knew. Like,
know. Yeah.
because every team has that guy that just always goes off. For the Lakers, it's been Ricky Rubio forever. Always has these big games against. I don't know, but
Yeah,
anyway,
you're absolutely right. Everybody's got those guys where it's like, oh, this guy again. Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Um, Mitchell Robinson, not happy with the New York Knicks right now, which the Knicks have been playing good basketball. It's
Yeah.
not often that you hear somebody come out saying things that they're not pleased when a team's playing well. I mean, I know they had a bit of a slide there, but overall they had a great win streak. They're right in the mix in the Eastern Conference, but Mitchell Robinson not thrilled. And you know what? The Knicks, they thrive on the offensive glass, and he is such a big part of that. He is a monster on the offensive boards. I could kind of see where, he's asked to do a lot of the dirty work. Sometimes he's losing minutes to Isaiah Hartenstein out there as well. And I could see where he could get a little bit frustrated when he's just kind of asked night in, night out to be that guy that's doing all the work, banging on the boards and everything. And then, he's not necessarily the one that's getting the glory.
Yeah, they run no plays for him. They don't really even involve him in actions. Basically, almost everything he gets is like self-created off an offensive rebound. To that point, he takes 4.8 shots per game and he averages 4.3 offensive rebounds per game. So basically, he's collecting his own team's miss and going back up with it.
Yep.
That's a little reductive. That's not exactly how it works, obviously, but yeah, I mean, this is a guy starting center on a pretty good team. And this came out after they played in Portland. He only played 21 minutes in that game. Isaiah Hartenstein played 27. The most rigid rotations in the league belong to Tom Thibodeau. He basically splits the minutes at the 4 and the 5. And you got to be a little disappointed if you're the Knicks because they won that game. You've been winning. You're playing really well. You're playing the best you've played, in well over a year because they were down last season. And then, here he goes to Instagram, spouts off about tired of just doing cardio out there.
Yeah.
You get it, but that's something where it's like, man, like you tell me that as your teammate, right? Like, you don't need to post that for the world to see. Like, let's vent to me as your teammate, right? Let's do that. So you kind of wonder is, what does this look like? Does anything happen? I don't think Tibbs is going to bench him or hold anything against him or anything like that because he's too important to the team. But yeah, it's just frustrating.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's something that typically winning cures all. That's the saying, and usually
Yeah.
that's true. But in this case, apparently not. And again, I understand his frustration,
Sure.
but I would have to imagine this is probably just him venting for a moment. And I'm going to say this is nothing until it's something. Until this becomes like a repeated thing,
Yeah.
it's just something you kind of file away and remember. Hey, he's not too thrilled with this, but it's nothing for now.
And this is where your team leaders, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Derrick Rose, you kind of put your arm around them at practice, pull them aside, and be like, "Hey, we don't do that. Like, let's let you good, let's go." And that's it. You just kind of leave it at that.
All right, last thing we've got for today, Myers Leonard.
We got one more. Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Oh, I am missing
I
that.
know. Yeah, it happened right before the show, but we'll do Leonard, then we'll close with Bogdan.
Oh, actually, I've got two more. I
Oh,
missed them.
right.
They got buried on my list here. I got two more. Okay,
Busy
so
day,
let's
like
talk.
you said.
Yeah, let's talk
For
Myers
sure.
Leonard. Signs with the Bucks. I know we've already talked about Myers Leonard and the Bucks and why he makes sense as a stretch big,
Yep.
and that's their whole scheme and all of that. So we don't need to rehash all of that. But Myers Leonard is going to be with the Bucks for the remainder of the season.
Yep, sticks for the rest of the year. It is I confirmed on for Spot Track yesterday, is a 1-year remainder of the season contract for Myers Leonard. And this is a chance for him to continue that process of working his way fully back into the NBA. It's one thing to do it on a couple 10 days. Now you're there for the rest of the year. Whether it's Milwaukee or others, we'll see. It wouldn't surprise me if this one turns into, hey, we want to bring you back on a minimum deal or a smaller deal because he does fit really well. It kind of becomes like, all right, we're going to, no, he's not Brook Lopez because Brook Lopez may win Defensive Player of the Year. Probably should, I think. But Leonard can give you a lot of what Brook Lopez gives you in a sense of you don't have to completely change your style of play if you put him out there on the floor.
Right, you can run a lot of the same stuff with Leonard out there as you could with Brook Lopez, at least on the offensive end of the floor. All right, let's get to the Bogdanovic extension. Just came out right before we started the show here. Bogdan Bogdanovic signing an extension with the Atlanta Hawks, $68 million, if I recall off the top of my head.
Over 4 years. Yeah,
4 years. This is
pretty big chunk of change. $17 million a year. Yeah.
Not bad. Do you like this bit of business from the new Hawks front office here?
I'm a big Bogdan Bogdanovic fan. I think
me
he's
too.
really, really good. I do. What's our plan here in Atlanta? Because now you've got him and Sadiq Bey and DeAndre Hunter and AJ Griffin, and you've got DeJounte Murray, and that's a whole bunch of dudes that all play the 2-3 positions. And I know you can play Bey at the 4 some and Hunter at the 4. This to me more probably signals. I don't know. I shouldn't expect this by any means, but maybe we do get a John Collins trade and did they move on and maybe DeAndre Hunter and Sadiq Bey become kind of a combo 4-man group there with Jalen Johnson, who they're also very high on. And this is like, hey, let's keep a little bit of our depth. And if we move on from Collins, but right now, I mean, you're talking a team that we're going to do quick math on the fly here. Because just while I'm pulling that all together, he will how this works is he's going to decline his player option for next season. Then the whatever his salary is next year will replace that in the extension. They already had $143.6 million on the books before. So let's say first year salary in this extension, let's just say it's $15 million. You're at $158 million, and now you're already you're only a little bit below the luxury tax line. On the plus side, that's 10 guys, so you can still fill out your roster relatively easily without tripping into the tax there. But you're going to be kind of button up against it. We'll see. So, but maybe a Collins trade frees up a little bit of flexibility if that comes. But yeah, I mean, to me, this is the Hawks maybe read the room and said, The free agent class isn't very good. He
Yeah.
is pretty good. Somebody might throw him 18 to 20 million a year. Let's not mess around. Let's get this done today.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense from that perspective just to get this done. Again, he's hasn't been starting for them or anything like that. But I think he's a starting caliber player,
Yeah.
who can come in and give you really good minutes and do some good things. Like you said, you're a fan of his, and if I'm Bogdanovic and I'm 30 and I'm going to be 31 come August here, and I can lock up a 4-year deal. I think this is a smart move on his part too. In addition to
And
why
he
the team
struggled
would look at this and say, "Let's do this."
struggled with some injuries over the last
Yep.
couple of years too, including a knee surgery that kept him out at the beginning of this season. So yeah, smart by him. And for anybody who's might be like, what is Trevor talking about? How is he, going to be 31? Will turns 31 over the summer. Remember, he played outside of the NBA for the first 5 years after he was drafted. So
Yeah.
it was one of those things where he was drafted in well, I guess it was the first next 3 years, but he was drafted in 2014 and then didn't come to the NBA right away. He started his career in Serbia and then played in Turkey before coming over to the NBA. So he came over a little later. It just seems like he's, only got a few years in the league because he does, but it's just because of the way his career arc kind of went together.
Yep. All right. Last thing we've got Joel
Oh,
Embiid
yeah.
now is the MVP betting favorite. The Nuggets have dropped some games recently, and that has pushed Embiid ahead of Nikola Jokic. What are your thoughts here? Do you think that's correct? Should Embiid be the favorite? I know your guy Jason Tatum was getting a lot of buzz early in the season.
Not
Where do we
anymore.
ultimately
Yeah.
land here?
Yeah, Tatum's out of the mix. I mean, maybe he gets some top 5 votes, but he's out. Luke is out, I think, because the Mavs aren't good. They haven't won enough. So to me, it's kind of a three-man race. It's Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis. I'm still
Uh-huh.
gonna keep in there. I don't expect Giannis to push all the way through the end of the season. With the amount of games, I would expect he might miss a couple because I think the Bucks are playing to win a title, and he's already won MVPs. But if he plays all the way through, maybe he's in the mix. My first initial takeaway on this is nothing to do with the players, but this is why we don't need to have MVP arguments at Christmas time. Like, this battle that is waged daily between Embiid supporters and Jokic
Oh
supporters.
man.
It's out of control. Like
Yeah.
I mean, in the level of like vitriol that's being
Yep.
thrown at people from both sides of this is, it's pretty gross. Like, I mean, and you know what? I think it was Bill Simmons who said it is like, can I watch the last 2 weeks of the season and then decide? Like, do I have to decide in the middle of March? Like, let's let the season play out. All that said, I'm not gonna ride the fence on this. I'm kind of leaning Embiid myself now too.
Yeah.
If Philly runs down Boston, finishes in second, they're not gonna run down Milwaukee. That's too far gone. But if they run down Boston and finish in second, I think we've got a real chance of seeing Embiid winning MVP. And that doesn't change anything from the prior 2 seasons. Jokic was
No.
deserving of those. And honestly, if Jokic wins this year, he'll be deserving this year too. That's how good these guys have been. But I'm 2 weeks to go. I'm leaning Embiid, but again, I'll make my final decision after the season ends and we see we have the total sum of work. And last thing, I don't want to hear anything about, well, what about this and that with, playoff success? It doesn't, none of that matters. This
Playoffs
is a
don't count for
regular
this.
season award for this regular season only, and none of the other stuff matters, but there it is.
How crazy would that be though? That Jokic can average a triple double for the number one seed in the West and not win MVP, and there be like a legitimate argument why he wouldn't. Like you
Yeah.
can make a real argument for MVP. Like that blows my mind that Jokic is dominant the way that he has been, and he's not a lock for MVP. I mean, that just tells me that the NBA is in good shape in terms of top end talent. Like that's absolutely incredible.
Good shape, and we're smarter the way we
Yeah.
consume and analyze basketball when we don't let our own fandom and passions take over too much. Like it tells us, hey, that would have been before. You look at that stat line, you look where they are in the standings, and be all right, done. He's the
Yep.
MVP. Now it's like, Embiid does this and this on defense. Somebody posted a
Yep.
clip from the Cavs game. There's no stat involved with this, but he completely destroyed an entire Cleveland possession all by himself. He covered, I think it was Darius Garland on a drive to the rim. He dumped it off to Evan Mobley. Embiid recovered to Mobley, made Mobley instead of going up with it, dribble it out, and then Mobley kind of handed a grenade because the clock was running out to maybe like Lamar Stevens or somebody, and Embiid challenged that shot. Stevens missed, and they were off the other way. And that was Embiid, a one-man wrecking crew, destroyed a possession against a really good Cleveland team, and that's just that's the stuff that gets missed. So hopefully those are the things we're all smarter fans on seeing and all that stuff. So yeah, it's but let's let the next 2 weeks play out and see where it goes. That head-to-head matchup they have coming up again. Oh man, that's going to be like must-watch TV because Embiid, you could tell, had something for Jokic last time.
Yeah, they're gonna go at each other in that one. That's gonna be a lot of fun to see. I can't wait for that one. In fact, what's the date on that? March 27th.
Coming up. Yeah.
March 27th coming up. That's gonna be a big
I can't
one.
believe we're so like the season's only got a couple weeks left. Like bananas.
Feels like it just started. Crazy.
Yeah, sometimes.
Crazy. Sometimes. But then again, I think of like Russell Westbrook in a Lakers jersey, and I'm like, oh, that was like 2 years ago, right? No. Oh, that was like a month ago. Okay. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us. Come join us tomorrow for fun front office Friday.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time. It will be fun. Come join us again, 1 o'clock Eastern time. We'll be live on the NBA Front Office YouTube channel. Till then, everybody, see ya and stay safe.